Before we dive in, please remember that the information presented in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice, and we are not affiliated with, nor are we endorsing, any of the companies mentioned. The world of private aviation involves significant financial commitments, and you should always conduct your own thorough research and consult with professional advisors before making any decisions. You know the feeling. It's 5:45 a.m. The airport terminal smells like stale coffee and anxiety. You've been in the security line for 45 minutes, shuffling forward inch by inch. You're taking off your shoes, pulling your laptop out of its bag, trying to remember if that bottle of water is over 3.4 ounces. You finally get through, only to see the dreaded red letters on the departure board, delayed. Your crucial 9 a.m. meeting in Chicago is now a frantic text message apology. Your flight to see your family, already a tight connection, is now an impossible dream. You're stuck, powerless, just one of millions packed into a system that feels fundamentally broken. Commercial air travel in the United States today isn't just an inconvenience. For many, it's a productivity-killing, stress-inducing nightmare that we've just accepted. But what if I told you there's a parallel universe of travel happening right alongside ours? A world where you arrive at the airport just 15 minutes before your flight, where there are no lines, no TSA pat-downs, and no crowds, where your car pulls right up to the plane, your bags are taken for you, and the pilot greets you by name. A world where you can hit 3 different cities in one day for 3 critical meetings and still be home to tuck your kids into bed. This isn't science fiction. This is the reality of private aviation. And over the next few minutes, we are going to pull back the curtain on this exclusive world and make it understandable. We're going to demystify private jets for domestic travel within the USA. This isn't just a fantasy tour of multi-million-dollar planes. This is a practical guide. We are going to break down the top 3 private jet companies operating today, revealing their exact business models, their real pricing structures, the type of traveler each one is perfect for, and the hidden gotchas in the fine print that you absolutely need to know about. By the end of this video, you will have a crystal clear, actionable framework to decide if flying private is a viable option for you, and if so, which of these giants is your best bet. Now I can already hear the keyboards clacking. Private jets? That's for rappers and tech billionaires, not me. And for decades, you would have been 100% correct. The traditional path was to buy a jet. A brand new Gulfstream G700 costs about $75 million. And that's just the sticker price. Then you have to pay for pilots, a flight crew, insurance, hangar space, fuel, and constant, eye-wateringly expensive maintenance. You're looking at another $3 to $5 million a year, every single year, just to keep it ready to fly. For 99.9% of the population, that's not just a bad investment, it's an impossible one. But that entire model, the model of sole outright ownership, is becoming a relic. The industry has been completely revolutionized by 3 brilliant concepts that have cracked the code on accessibility. First, you have fractional ownership. Imagine buying a timeshare, but for a multi-million-dollar jet. You purchase a share of an aircraft, say 1/16, which entitles you to a certain number of flight hours per year, maybe 50 hours. You get all the perks of ownership, access to an entire fleet, but you only pay for a fraction of the cost. The company handles everything else, the pilots, the maintenance, the logistics. It's ownership, but smart. Second, there's the jet card. This is even simpler. Think of it as a debit card for private flights. You pre-purchase flight time in 25, 50, or 100-hour increments. You lock in a fixed hourly rate, so you know exactly what you're paying with no surprise fees. When you want to fly, you just make a call, and a jet is guaranteed to be ready for you, often with as little as 24 hours notice. It offers predictability and flexibility, without the long-term commitment of ownership. And third, the most accessible entry point, on-demand charter. This is the Uber or Lyft of private aviation. You have a specific trip you need to take from New York to Miami next Tuesday? You use a charter broker or an app, and they find an available plane for that specific route. You pay for that one trip and that's it. No upfront investment, no long-term contracts. It's the ultimate pay-as-you-go model. These 3 models have changed the game. They've transformed the private jet from a symbol of extravagant wealth into a powerful strategic tool. Think about it. Imagine you're a real estate developer based in Dallas. You need to inspect a site in rural Arkansas, meet with investors in Nashville, and be back for a family dinner that same evening. Commercially, that's a 3-day trip minimum. 3 days of hotels, rental cars, and wasted time in airports. Privately, you can do it all in about 10 hours. You leave at dawn, you're home for dinner. The calculus isn't just about luxury. It's about time. Time is the only asset we can never get back. How much is your time worth per hour? How much is one more evening with your family worth? When you start answering those questions honestly, the cost of flying private starts to look very different. It shifts from being an expense to an investment in efficiency, productivity, and quality of life. So, which companies are leading this revolution? After sifting through dozens of operators, analyzing flight data, and reading thousands of pages of customer agreements and reviews, we've narrowed it down to the 3 undisputed leaders in the U.S. domestic market. Each one dominates one of the business models we just discussed. We're going to look at the absolute titan of fractional ownership, the company that literally invented the concept and still commands the largest private fleet on the planet. We'll then expose the disruptive, tech-driven powerhouse of on-demand charter, which acts more like a Silicon Valley company than an airline. And finally, we'll break down the undisputed king of the jet card, known for its legendary service and consistency. For each one, we'll give you the good, the bad, and the bottom line so you can see exactly where you might fit in. So if you're ready to graduate from the chaos of commercial travel and explore a world of unparalleled efficiency and control, you are in the right place. Let's get started. The first company on our list is a name synonymous with private aviation, a Berkshire Hathaway company that sets the gold standard for the entire industry. Let's talk about NetJets. They are, quite simply, the creators of the entire fractional jet ownership industry. Before NetJets, your options were stark. Either you were wealthy enough to buy and operate your own multi-million-dollar jet, with all the associated costs and logistical nightmares, or you flew commercial. There was no in-between. The founder, Richard Santulli, a former executive at Goldman Sachs, saw this massive gap in the market. He looked at the world of timeshares, where people could own a piece of a vacation property, and had a revolutionary thought. Why not apply that same concept to the most exclusive asset on the planet? Private jet. In 1986, he launched Executive Jet Aviation, which would later become NetJets. The idea was elegantly simple yet profoundly disruptive. Instead of one person shouldering the entire 7- or 8-figure cost of a jet, what if 16 people could share it? You wouldn't own the whole plane, you'd own a share. A 1/16 share, for example, would entitle you to 50 hours of flight time per year on that specific aircraft type. You pay an initial acquisition cost for your share, a monthly management fee that covers all the indirect costs like pilot salaries, hangar space and insurance, and a fixed hourly rate for the time you're actually in the air. Suddenly, the dream of private aviation was accessible to a much broader audience of high-net-worth individuals and corporations. You got all the benefits of ownership, the convenience, the privacy, the speed, with none of the headaches. You don't have to hire pilots, manage maintenance schedules, or worry about FAA compliance. You just make a phone call, and a plane is ready for you, guaranteed, in as little as 4 to 6 hours, anywhere in the country. And here's the genius part. If your specific jet is in use or down for maintenance, NetJets simply provides you with an identical one from their massive fleet. You are guaranteed access. This single innovation created the modern private aviation landscape as we know it today. And in 1998, it caught the eye of the most famous value investor in the world, Warren Buffett, who was so impressed after becoming a customer that his company, Berkshire Hathaway, bought NetJets outright. When the Oracle of Omaha puts his stamp on a company, you know its foundation is built on solid rock. But fractional ownership is just one pillar of their empire. They understood that not everyone flies the 50+ hours a year needed to justify a fractional share. For those individuals, they created the NetJets card program. Think of it as the ultimate debit card for private flight. You purchase a card for 25 or 50 hours of flight time on a specific jet class. The rates are fixed, so you know exactly what you're paying per hour, with no surprises. It's the perfect entry point for those new to private aviation, or for people whose travel needs vary year to year. It offers the same impeccable service and safety standards without the long-term commitment of ownership. Then there's the middle ground, their leasing program. This is for clients who fly enough to be fractional owners but prefer not to have a large capital outlay tied up in an aircraft. You get all the benefits of a fractional share, the guaranteed access, the fixed costs, but with a predictable monthly lease payment instead of a multi-million-dollar purchase. This 3-tiered approach, ownership, leasing, and the jet card, creates a flexible ecosystem that can cater to almost any private travel need, guiding clients seamlessly from one program to another as their requirements evolve. Now let's talk about the hardware, because the sheer scale of the NetJets fleet is breathtaking. They operate the largest and most diverse private jet fleet in the world, with over 750 aircraft globally. This isn't a collection of aging second-hand planes. NetJets has invested billions of dollars in new aircraft, making their fleet one of the youngest in the industry. They are often the launch customer for the latest and greatest models from manufacturers like Cessna, Bombardier, and Embraer. The fleet is meticulously categorized to fit any mission. For short, regional hops, say from Los Angeles to Las Vegas or Chicago to New York, you have their light jets like the incredibly popular Embraer Phenom 300. It's the sports car of the skies. Fast, efficient, and capable of getting into smaller airports that commercial airlines can't access. Stepping up, you enter the midsize and super midsize category with workhorses like the Cessna Citation Latitude and the Bombardier Challenger 350. These are your coast-to-coast champions. They offer more cabin space, a smoother ride, and the range to fly from Miami to Seattle without a fuel stop, allowing a team of executives to work or relax in total comfort. And then you have the top of the food chain, the large cabin long-range jets. We're talking about the Bombardier Global family, the Global 5500-6000, and the ultra-long-range 7500. These are not just airplanes, they are flying penthouses and boardrooms, with stand-up cabins, multiple living zones, full galleys for preparing gourmet meals, divans that convert into beds, and even private staterooms with showers on the largest models. These jets can connect continents. They are designed for the global leader who needs to fly from New York to Dubai, arriving refreshed and ready for a meeting. The sheer variety means NetJets always has the right tool for the job. You're not forced to take a giant, inefficient plane for a short trip, nor are you cramped in a small jet for a cross-country flight. But the plane itself is only half the story. The true NetJets difference lies in two words: safety and service. Their commitment to safety is legendary and non-negotiable. Every NetJets flight is commanded by two highly experienced, ATP-rated pilots. They don't just meet FAA standards for training, they shatter them. Their pilots undergo rigorous, type-specific simulator training every 6 months, far exceeding industry requirements. This relentless focus on proficiency and preparedness provides an unparalleled level of peace of mind. The service is just as meticulous. From the moment you book a flight, a dedicated owner services team is at your disposal 24/7. They don't just arrange the flight, they orchestrate the entire travel experience. They'll have your preferred catering on board, from a specific brand of water to a complex multi-course meal from your favorite restaurant. Ground transportation will be waiting for you on the tarmac the moment you land. They learn your preferences, anticipate your needs, and execute flawlessly. The goal is to make the experience so seamless, so effortless, that all you have to do is show up. This consistency is the holy grail of private aviation. With many charter services, the experience can be a roll of the dice. With NetJets, you know that whether you're flying out of Teterboro, New Jersey or Van Nuys, California, the jet will be immaculate, the crew will be world-class, and the service will be perfect. Every single time. So who is NetJets for? It's for the individual or corporation that values time, safety, and consistency above all else. It's for the frequent traveler flying over 50 hours a year who has graduated from the uncertainty of on-demand charter and demands the reliability of an owned asset without the operational burden. It's for the business leader who needs to visit 3 cities in one day, a feat impossible on a commercial schedule. It's for the family that wants to travel with absolute privacy and security, avoiding the chaos of public terminals. NetJets is the established blue-chip standard. They are the original, the biggest, and for many the undisputed best. They offer a proven system built on a foundation of unmatched scale and an unwavering commitment to excellence. But what if the idea of ownership, even fractional, feels too rigid? What if you want the ultimate flexibility, with no long-term commitments, no monthly management fees, and access to thousands of different aircraft on demand, all booked through an app on your phone? That's where our next company completely changes the game. That company is Wheels Up. And if NetJets is like buying a high-end timeshare in a luxury condo, Wheels Up is like having the master key to every 5-star Airbnb in the country, all managed through a slick app on your iPhone. It fundamentally shifted the private aviation landscape from a model of ownership to a model of access. Founded in 2013, Wheels Up burst onto the scene with a revolutionary idea: make private flying more accessible and flexible through a membership model, much like a country club or an exclusive credit card. You pay an initiation fee and an annual membership fee, and in return, you unlock access to a massive fleet of aircraft at members-only rates. There's no buying a fraction of a plane. There are no multi-year commitments locking you into one specific aircraft type. You're not an owner. You're a member. And that distinction is everything. Let's break down how it actually works, because this is where the genius lies. Their core offering revolves around a few membership tiers. Think of it like this. The basic Connect membership is your entry point. You pay a one-time initiation fee, and then an annual fee that's roughly the cost of a couple of first-class tickets. For that, you get access to their app, the ability to book charter flights from their network of over 1,200 safety-vetted aircraft, and access to some of their signature programs like empty leg flights, which we'll get to in a moment. But the real power comes with their core membership. This is where you get the capped hourly rates and guaranteed availability on their signature fleet, most notably the King Air 350i. This is their workhorse, the turboprop that built the company. It's often called the SUV of the sky. It's not the fastest jet, but it's incredibly efficient, comfortable for up to 8 passengers, and can land on shorter runways that many jets can't access, opening up thousands of smaller, more convenient airports across the country. By capping the hourly rate on this aircraft for core members, Wheels Up provides a level of cost predictability that's incredibly attractive. You know that a flight from Teterboro, New Jersey to Nantucket for the weekend will cost a set amount per hour, regardless of demand. Beyond the King Air, your membership unlocks access to a whole ecosystem of light jets, mid-sized jets, and long-range aircraft. This is the key difference from a traditional fractional model. With NetJets, you own a share of a specific type of jet. If you need a bigger plane for a family trip, or a smaller one for a quick solo meeting, you have to trade up or down within their system. With Wheels Up, the entire marketplace is at your fingertips. You book the plane that fits the mission. It's ultimate flexibility. Need to get 3 executives from Dallas to a board meeting in Chicago? Book a light jet. Taking the whole family and 2 dogs from Los Angeles to Aspen for a ski trip? You can charter a super mid-sized jet right through the same app. This is powered by what they call the Wheels Up Marketplace, a dynamic real-time system that connects member demand with aircraft supply. This is where the Uber of the skies analogy really comes to life. But it also introduces a concept that's critical to understand: dynamic pricing. For flights on aircraft outside their core fleet, the price isn't fixed. It fluctuates based on demand, aircraft availability, location, and even the time of day. This can be a huge advantage. If you're flying an unpopular route on a Tuesday morning, you might get an incredible deal. But if you're trying to fly from New York to South Florida the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, you're going to pay a premium. It's the free market applied to private jets. This system also creates one of the most exciting opportunities in private aviation: leveraging inefficiencies in the system. I'm talking about empty leg flights. An empty leg is created when a plane has to fly from one point to another without passengers to pick up its next charter. For example, if someone books a one-way flight from Miami to New York, that jet is now in New York but might be needed back in Miami for its next trip. Instead of flying it back empty, operators would rather sell that flight at a massive discount. Wheels Up created programs like Hot Flights that allow members to book these empty legs for a fraction of the typical cost. If you have extreme flexibility in your travel schedule, you can fly private for what is sometimes less than the cost of a last-minute commercial first-class ticket. It's a game-changer for spontaneous travel. Now, you might be thinking, a tech-forward membership company sounds great, but what about stability? What about the operational backbone? This is where the story takes a fascinating turn. In 2023, Wheels Up was acquired by Delta Air Lines. This was a seismic event in the industry. Suddenly, this innovative, disruptive company was backed by one of the largest and most respected aviation giants in the world. What does this mean for you, the customer? It means an unparalleled level of integration and trust. It means the potential to earn and use Delta SkyMiles for your private flights. It means a seamless connection between your private flight landing in Atlanta and your commercial Delta flight to Europe. It infused the company with a level of operational expertise, capital, and global reach that solidified its position as a major player for the long term. So, who is the ideal Wheels Up customer? It's the person who values flexibility and access over ownership. It's the successful entrepreneur who might need to fly to 3 different cities in 2 days for fundraising meetings, using a different-sized aircraft for each leg of the journey. It's the family that wants to experience the convenience of private travel for their vacations without the massive capital outlay and long-term commitment of fractional ownership. It's the tech-savvy individual who loves the idea of managing their travel from a sophisticated app, booking flights, arranging catering, and organizing ground transportation, all with a few taps on their phone. They're comfortable with dynamic pricing because they understand that with it comes the opportunity for incredible value. They don't want to be locked into one type of aircraft. They want the freedom to choose the right tool for the job every single time. Of course, no model is perfect. The downside of dynamic pricing is, well, dynamic pricing. During peak periods, the costs can be significantly higher than a fixed-rate program. And while the membership fees are far less than buying a jet share, it's still a significant annual expense that you pay whether you fly a little or a lot. But for those who fit the profile, Wheels Up offers a compelling, modern, and incredibly powerful way to fly. It's a testament to how technology can democratize access to an industry that was once the exclusive domain of the ultra-wealthy. So we've seen the titans. NetJets, the pioneer of fractional ownership, offering the pride and predictability of owning a piece of the world's most impressive private fleet. And Wheels Up, the tech-forward disruptor, offering unparalleled flexibility and on-demand access through its membership model. They represent two very different philosophies of private travel: ownership versus access, long-term commitment versus on-demand flexibility. But what if there's a third way? What if you want the guaranteed availability and fixed rates of an ownership model, but without owning a single piece of an airplane? What if you want a company with a truly global footprint, known for its obsessive attention to detail and unparalleled onboard service? That's where our final company enters the picture, offering perhaps the most refined and elegant solution in the sky. That company is VistaJet. And to understand VistaJet, you first have to understand its founder, a Swiss billionaire named Thomas Flohr. Flohr wasn't an aviation guy. He was a financier, a businessman who was flying privately all the time for work. And he was deeply frustrated. He found the charter market to be a complete roll of the dice. One day you'd get a pristine new aircraft with a great crew. The next, you'd be on a tired 10-year-old jet that smelled faintly of stale cigars. There was no consistency, no brand standard. On the other side, you had fractional ownership, but Flohr didn't want to own a depreciating asset. He didn't want the complexity and the long-term commitment. He saw a gap, a massive gaping hole in the market for people who wanted the guarantee and quality of owning a jet without actually owning it. So in 2004, he created VistaJet with a radically simple yet revolutionary idea. What if every single plane in the fleet was identical? What if every customer, no matter where they were in the world, be it Dubai or Dallas or Denver, stepped onto the exact same aircraft with the exact same impeccable service every single time? This is the core of the VistaJet promise. They don't have a hodgepodge of different planes from different owners. They own their entire fleet. And every single one of their more than 360 aircraft is painted in the same iconic silver with a simple red stripe. The interiors are the same, the layout is the same, the service is the same. It is the ultimate exercise in brand consistency. When you book a Global 7500 with VistaJet, you know exactly what you are getting. There are no surprises. This obsessive focus on consistency extends to their business model, which is where they truly diverge from NetJets and FlexJet. VistaJet does not do fractional ownership. Instead, they pioneered a subscription-style model they call the program. It's simple. You purchase a block of flight hours, say 50 hours a year for 3 years, and VistaJet guarantees you access to their fleet, anywhere in the world, often with just 24 hours notice. You are paying for access and availability, not equity. This is a critical distinction. You get all the perks of ownership, the guaranteed access, the consistent quality, with none of the headaches like maintenance, crew management, or asset depreciation. But here's the real game changer, the detail that makes VistaJet a titan in the industry, especially for domestic US flyers who also travel internationally. They operate what's called a floating fleet. Unlike traditional charter or even some fractional models where a plane has a home base it needs to return to, VistaJet's aircraft are constantly on the move around the globe, like a sophisticated high-speed game of chess. A jet might fly a client from New York to Los Angeles, and then instead of flying back to New York empty, it picks up another client in LA and flies them to Miami. From Miami, it might hop down to Brazil, then over to Europe. Because of this model, VistaJet completely eliminates positioning fees. Let me repeat that because it is arguably the single most important financial advantage they offer. There are no positioning fees. For anyone who has ever chartered a jet, you know these fees can be absolutely crippling. If you want to fly one way from Chicago to Aspen, a traditional charter company has to fly the plane back to Chicago empty. And guess who pays for that empty leg? You do. It can nearly double the cost of your trip. With VistaJet, that cost disappears. Your hourly rate is your hourly rate, whether you're flying from a major hub like Teterboro or a remote airport in Montana. This makes them incredibly competitive for one-way domestic flights, which are becoming more and more common. Now let's talk about the experience, because this is where VistaJet aims to be in a league of its own. Their philosophy is to create a home in the sky. The service is less like a flight crew and more like a personal staff. Every cabin host on every flight is trained by the world-renowned British Butler Institute. They are trained not just in safety and service, but in etiquette, cultural sensitivity, and anticipating needs you didn't even know you had. They keep detailed preferences for all their clients. If you like a specific type of sparkling water at a specific temperature, it will be waiting for you. If your kids have favorite snacks or board games, they'll be on board. The onboard amenities are on another level. We're talking Cristofel silverware and porcelain, custom-tailored children's programs called Adventures in the Sky, and even curated wine programs. They have one of the most extensive private dining programs in the air, able to source meals from your favorite Michelin-starred restaurants. They even created a program to help passengers deal with jet lag, optimizing cabin lighting and menus to help you arrive more refreshed. This isn't just transportation. It's a meticulously crafted, bespoke travel experience designed to be as seamless and luxurious as possible. Their fleet is also a major draw. While they operate everything from super mid-sized jets like the Challenger 350, they are famous for their fleet of large-cabin, ultra-long-range aircraft. We're talking about the Bombardier Global 7500, the largest and longest-range business jet ever built. This is an aircraft that can fly from New York to Hong Kong non-stop. For the high-level executive or entrepreneur in the US, this means you can have one single aviation solution for all of your needs. You can use the same membership to take a Challenger from New York to Miami for a meeting, and then use a Global 7500 the following week to fly from San Francisco to Singapore for a board meeting. It's all under one umbrella, with one point of contact and one consistent standard of excellence. So, who is the ideal VistaJet customer? It's the true global citizen. It's the C-suite executive whose business spans continents. It's the family that splits their time between homes in Aspen, the Hamptons, and Street Barts. It's for the user who values a globally consistent, branded experience above all else. They are less concerned with owning a piece of the asset and more concerned with guaranteed access to a flawless product, anywhere in the world, without the financial drag of positioning fees. They're willing to pay a premium for the peace of mind that comes from knowing their experience will be perfect every single time. And that brings us to the primary consideration with VistaJet: the cost. This level of service, this global guarantee, it comes at a price. Their hourly rates for their program membership are among the highest in the industry. You are paying a significant premium for the elimination of positioning fees and for the white glove, Butler train service. While it can be surprisingly cost-effective for complex, one-way itineraries, for simple round trips out of a major hub, it may not be the most economical choice compared to a local charter or a different fractional program. It is an unapologetically luxury product, and it is priced as such. You are not just buying flight hours, you are buying into a global service infrastructure that is second to none. So there we have it. Our third major player, VistaJet. The global asset-free subscription model built on a foundation of absolute consistency, unparalleled service, and the complete elimination of positioning fees. It's the elegant, refined solution for the truly international flyer who demands perfection. We've now met our three titans of the American skies. NetJets, the industry patriarch, the fortress of safety and reliability built on the fractional ownership model. FlexJet, the innovator, offering a more customized, boutique experience with its dedicated crews and hypermodern fleet. And VistaJet, the global sophisticate, offering a subscription to a perfectly consistent, luxurious experience anywhere on Earth. Each has a compelling argument. Each has a distinct philosophy. But the question remains, which one is right for you? How do they truly stack up when you put them head-to-head on the factors that matter most: cost, flexibility, peak day access, and the hidden clauses in the contracts? In the next part, we stop telling their stories and we start comparing their stats. We're putting them under the microscope for a direct, no-holds-barred showdown. Alright, let's get the gloves off. The first round of this heavyweight bout is all about the one thing that separates dreamers from flyers: the money. We're talking about the total cost of ownership, the price of entry, and the dollars per hour reality of flying with these titans of the sky. Let's start with the oldest and largest player in the game, NetJets. When you sign with NetJets, you're not just booking a flight, you are, in most cases, buying an asset. Their primary model is fractional ownership. Think of it like a timeshare for a multi-million-dollar aircraft. You purchase a share, typically as small as a 1/16th interest, which entitles you to 50 hours of flight time per year. So what does that actually cost? Let's use a popular light jet in their fleet, the Embraer Phenom 300, as our example. A 1/16th share in a jet like this will require an initial capital outlay that can be north of $500,000. Yes, $500,000 just to get in the door. And that's just the acquisition cost. Once you own your share, the bills don't stop. You then pay a monthly management fee. This covers the indirect costs, pilot salaries, hangar space, insurance, training. For that Phenom 300 share, you're looking at a management fee that could be around $10,000 to $12,000 every single month, whether you fly or not. And then, when you do fly, you pay an occupied hourly rate. This covers the direct costs of your trip, fuel, maintenance, and catering. This rate might be somewhere in the ballpark of $4,000 per hour. So let's do the math for a 50-hour-a-year flyer. You have a massive upfront investment, you have over $120,000 a year in management fees, and then you pay for every hour you're in the air. The key thing to understand about NetJets is that it's a long-term commitment. Contracts are typically 5 years. It's an investment. You are buying a depreciating asset, but you're also buying into the largest, most consistent private fleet on the planet. For those not ready to write a check with 6 zeros, NetJets does offer the Marquee Jet Card. This is their prepaid entry-level product. You buy hours in 25-hour blocks. The hourly rate is significantly higher than a fractional owner's, but there's no massive acquisition cost or long-term management fee. It's their way of giving you a taste of the NetJets experience without demanding you buy part of the restaurant. Now let's turn the microscope on FlexJet. On the surface, their fractional ownership program looks very similar to NetJets. You buy a share, you get a set number of hours, you pay a monthly management fee, and an hourly rate when you fly. The numbers are competitive, often neck and neck with NetJets, creating a fierce rivalry for the same top-tier clients. But FlexJet introduced some innovative wrinkles to differentiate themselves. Their lease program is a major one. Instead of buying a share, you can lease one. This dramatically reduces the upfront capital required. You're not purchasing an asset, so you don't need that $500,000 buy-in. Instead, you pay a monthly lease payment on top of the management and hourly fees. It's a way to get all the benefits of fractional ownership, guaranteed access, a consistent experience, without tying up a huge amount of capital in a depreciating aircraft. This is a massive draw for businesses that want to preserve capital for their core operations. FlexJet also pioneered programs like their Versatility Plus, which allows owners to exchange hours for larger or smaller aircraft, or even for more hours in their primary jet. They've structured their costs to appeal to a user who values options. Their pricing is built around a philosophy of choice. You can go for the traditional ownership route, or you can opt for a more financially nimble lease. They also tend to focus on a younger, more modern fleet, which can sometimes translate to slightly higher acquisition costs, but potentially better fuel efficiency and lower operating costs down the line. And that brings us to the disruptor, the company that came in and completely changed the conversation around cost and access, Wheels Up. Their model is fundamentally different. Instead of asking you to buy or lease a piece of a plane, Wheels Up asks you to join a club. Their core offering is a membership program. You pay a one-time initiation fee, and then annual dues to maintain your membership. For their popular core membership, you might be looking at an initiation fee of around $17,500, and annual dues of about $8,500 thereafter. So what does that membership get you? Gets you access. Access to their fleet at capped, fixed hourly rates. This is their killer feature. While charter market prices can skyrocket based on demand, your hourly rate as a Wheels Up member is locked in. You know exactly what you're going to pay per hour a year in advance. For their workhorse, the King Air 350i, a super capable turboprop, that rate might be around $8,000 per hour. For a light jet, it could be closer to $10,000. You simply pay as you fly. There are no monthly management fees. There's no massive capital outlay. You deposit funds into an account, and they're drawn down as you use them. This model completely lowers the barrier to entry for private aviation. It appeals to a much broader audience, those who fly 15, 25, or 40 hours a year and can't justify the economics of a 50-hour fractional share. Wheels Up essentially unbundled the private jet. You're not paying for the asset, you're paying for the access. This creates a fundamentally different cost structure. It's less of a long-term capital investment and more of a premium, on-demand transportation subscription. But here's where we have to talk about the fine print, because the advertised hourly rate is never the full story for any of these companies. Let's talk about the hidden costs. First, federal excise tax. That's a 7.5% tax on top of every flight cost that you have to factor in. Then there are fuel surcharges. As fuel prices fluctuate, these companies pass that cost on to you. This can add hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to your hourly rate. It's a variable you must watch closely. What about positioning fees? If a plane has to fly empty to pick you up from a remote airport, who pays for that? With NetJets and FlexJet in your primary service area, these fees are generally waived. That's a huge part of what you're paying for in those management fees, the logistics of their floating fleet. With Wheels Up, you also get a large service area with no positioning fees, but it's always critical to know where those boundaries are. And then there are the peak days. All three companies have a list of high-demand travel days. Think the day before Thanksgiving or the Sunday after the Super Bowl. Flying on these days will cost you more. It might be a surcharge, or it might mean you use your hours at a higher ratio, say 1.5 hours deducted for every 1 hour flown. NetJets and FlexJet owners often have guaranteed access on these days, but it comes at a premium. Wheels Up members might face more restrictions or higher surcharges. So, when you lay it all out, a clear picture of three different financial philosophies emerges. NetJets is the blue chip investment. High barrier to entry, significant ongoing costs, but in return, you get unparalleled consistency and the backing of the largest private air force in the world. FlexJet is the modern portfolio approach, offering both the investment of ownership and the flexibility of leasing, wrapped in a premium, high-touch service. And Wheels Up is the tech-era subscription model. A low barrier to entry, pay-as-you-go flexibility, and a focus on accessibility over asset ownership. The numbers seem to tell one story. NetJets and FlexJet for the committed 50-plus hour year flyer, Wheels Up for the more sporadic or entry-level user. But what happens when your plans change? What happens when you book a light jet for a business meeting, but then you need a super mid-sized jet for a family vacation to the Caribbean 2 months later? Cost is just one piece of the puzzle. The true test of these companies and the true value they provide is in how they bend when you need them to. And that's where we go next. Into the critical world of fleet access, interchange ratios, and the ultimate freedom to choose your ride on any given day. This freedom to choose is the entire point. Owning one jet is a limitation. It's like owning a single perfect screwdriver. It's fantastic for one specific job, but the moment you face a different kind of screw, you're stuck. Fractional ownership isn't about owning a screwdriver. It's about having access to the entire toolbox, ready and waiting for whatever job comes up. And the size and quality of that toolbox, along with the rules for borrowing from it, are what separate the good from the truly exceptional. This is measured by two critical factors: the fleet itself and what's known as the interchange ratio. Let's start with the fleet. It's not just about numbers, it's about diversity and quality. This is where NetJets, frankly, operates on a different planet. With over 900 aircraft worldwide, their fleet isn't just the largest in the private aviation industry. It's larger than most commercial airlines. Think about that. They have everything from the nimble Phenom 300, perfect for a quick hop from Dallas to Houston, all the way up to the globe-spanning Gulfstream G550 and the Bombardier Global 7500, capable of flying you non-stop from New York to Dubai. This isn't just a collection of planes. It's a strategic air force of corporate and leisure travel. The sheer scale means that on any given day, there is almost certainly a NetJets aircraft within a very short flight of wherever you are in the United States. This logistical supremacy is their core advantage. It's the brute force of availability. Now let's talk about interchange. This is the mechanism that lets you use that entire toolbox. Let's say you own a 1/16th share of a Citation Latitude, a fantastic mid-sized jet. You get 50 hours a year in that aircraft category. But this summer you want to take your entire extended family, 6 adults, 4 kids, and a mountain of luggage, from Chicago to Jackson Hole for a week. Your Latitude, which comfortably seats 7 or 8, is suddenly going to feel very, very tight. With NetJets, you simply call your owner services team and say, "I need to interchange up to a large cabin jet." They will arrange a Gulfstream G450 or a Bombardier Challenger 650 for that trip. The hours you use will be deducted from your total allocation based on a specific interchange ratio. For example, using the G450 for 1 hour might equate to using 1.5 hours of your Latitude time. Conversely, if you just need to make a quick solo trip from LA to Vegas, you can interchange down to a smaller, more efficient jet like a Citation XLS, and 1 hour of flight time might only deduct 0.75 hours from your balance. This system gives you incredible power. NetJet's massive, company-owned fleet means they control the asset. They aren't calling a third-party charter operator and hoping for the best. They are dispatching their own plane with their own pilots, maintained to their own obsessive standards. This is the bedrock of their promise: consistency and reliability at an unmatched scale. FlexJet plays in the same arena, but they play a different game. Their fleet is smaller than NetJet's, around 270 aircraft, but it's one of the youngest in the industry, with an average age of just over 6 years. They don't try to be everything to everyone. Instead, they focus on a highly curated collection of premium aircraft. They were the North American launch customer for the Gulfstream G700, the Embraer Praetor 500-600, and the Bombardier Challenger 3500. Their strategy is quality over sheer quantity. They are the boutique 5-star hotel chain to NetJet's global mega-resort. This philosophy extends directly to their interchange program. The mechanics are similar. You can upgrade or downgrade your aircraft based on your mission needs, with hours debited according to a clear ratio. But FlexJet adds a layer of personalization that is central to their brand. This is embodied by their Red Label program. With Red Label, you don't just get a share in an aircraft type. You get assigned to a specific aircraft tail number and a dedicated flight crew. Your pilots, your crew, they get to know you, your preferences, how you like your coffee, and that you always need the Wall Street Journal waiting for you. When you interchange to a different aircraft, FlexJet goes to extraordinary lengths to maintain that consistency. You might be in a larger Gulfstream instead of your usual Praetor, but the service standard, the cabin amenities, and the overall feel are designed to be seamless. They believe the experience is the product, not just the flight. So if you value flying on the newest, most modern aircraft and having a dedicated crew that feels like your own, FlexJet's approach to fleet access has a powerful allure. It's less about the brute force of availability and more about the art of a consistently premium experience. You're not just accessing a fleet, you're accessing a specific, curated standard of luxury. Then we have the disruptor, the company that looked at the entire model and decided to build a different kind of toolbox. Wheels Up, which recently merged with Delta Private Jets, operates on a fundamentally different principle. While they do own and operate a core fleet, including the iconic King Air 350i, their true power comes from their vast, digitally managed network of over 1,500 safety-vetted and approved partner aircraft. They are less of a fractional ownership company and more of a technology-driven aviation solutions provider. Their model is based on membership, not ownership. You don't buy a share of a jet, you buy into the network. This creates a level of flexibility that is, in some ways, unparalleled. The concept of a fixed interchange ratio doesn't really apply in the same way. Instead, as a member, you get access to a massive, dynamic marketplace of aircraft at capped hourly rates. This is their killer app. Let's imagine your needs are incredibly varied. On Monday, you need a cost-effective turboprop like the King Air to land on a short runway in the Hamptons. On Wednesday, you need a super mid-sized jet to get 4 executives from New York to a meeting in Omaha. On Friday, you're flying 12 people to the Super Bowl and need a heavy jet. With Wheels Up, you can book all 3, often with as little as 24 hours notice. You aren't interchanging from a base aircraft. You are simply selecting the right tool for the job from their enormous virtual hangar. Their strength is in the breadth of their offering. No other company can so easily provide you with a propeller plane one day and a long-range jet the next. The trade-off? Consistency. Because you're flying on a network of partner operators, the specific jet, the interior, and the crew can vary from trip to trip. While every flight must meet strict safety and service standards, it's not the same as the meticulously controlled, uniform experience offered by NetJets or FlexJet. So, we have 3 distinct philosophies for giving you the freedom to choose. NetJets offers the power of a massive owned and operated armada, providing unmatched reliability and global reach. FlexJet provides a curated, modern fleet with a focus on a personalized, consistently luxurious experience. And Wheels Up delivers ultimate flexibility and variety through a vast, tech-enabled network, allowing you to pick the perfect aircraft for any mission. The right choice depends entirely on what you value most: the certainty of a global logistics giant, the curated perfection of a luxury boutique, or the ultimate freedom of a dynamic marketplace. But this freedom, this flexibility, this guaranteed access, it all comes with a price tag. And the way these three giants structure their costs, from acquisition fees to monthly management and hourly rates, is where the real battle for your business is fought. And that's exactly where we're going next. Let's pull back the curtain on NetJets first, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Their entire empire is built on a concept they pioneered: fractional ownership. Think of it like a timeshare for the stratosphere, but instead of a condo in Aspen, you're buying a slice of a multi-million-dollar jet. The most common entry point is a 1/16 share, which typically entitles you to 50 hours of flight time per year. So what does that actually cost? Let's use a real-world example: their workhorse, the Cessna Citation Latitude. It's a brilliant mid-size jet that can cross the country with one stop. A brand new Latitude costs around $18 million. So your 1/16 share, your key to the kingdom, requires an upfront acquisition cost of roughly $1.125 million. That's the buy-in. It's a seven-figure check you write just to get in the game. But that's just the beginning. Now you own a piece of a complex flying machine. That means you're on the hook for your share of the fixed costs. This is where the monthly management fee comes in. This fee covers everything from pilot salaries and continuous training to hangar space across the country, liability insurance, and access to their global operations center. For that 1/16 share of a Latitude, you can expect to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $14,000 to $15,000 every single month, whether you fly or not. That's your subscription to the world's largest private air force. It's the cost of having a jet ready for you with as little as 4 hours notice, anywhere in the country. Finally, when you actually step onto the plane, you pay the occupied hourly rate. This is the variable cost. It covers the direct expenses of your specific flight: fuel, engine maintenance reserves, catering, and landing fees. For our Citation Latitude example, that hourly rate will hover around $4,500. So, a 4-hour flight from New York to LA would have a variable cost of about $18,000, on top of your $1 million acquisition and your $15,000 monthly fee. The NetJets model is for the user who wants the economics and feel of whole aircraft ownership, the consistency, the pride, the tax benefits of depreciation, without any of the operational headaches. It's a massive capital commitment, but it provides a very predictable, albeit high cost structure for frequent flyers. Now let's pivot to FlexJet. They operate in the same fractional ownership space as NetJets, but they've carved out a niche by positioning themselves as the boutique, ultra-premium alternative. If NetJets is the Four Seasons, consistent, global, and excellent, FlexJet is the Aman Resort, more exclusive, more bespoke, with an obsessive focus on the details. This is most evident in their flagship Red Label program. While NetJets pilots fly various aircraft within their type rating, FlexJet's Red Label assigns a specific flight crew to a single aircraft tail number. This means you're more likely to see the same pilots on your flights, creating a level of familiarity and personalized service that is simply unmatched at scale. They also boast the youngest fleet in the industry and offer highly customized interiors through their LXI cabin collection. So how does this translate to cost? It's a premium product, and it carries a premium price, but perhaps not in the way you'd expect. Let's compare apples to apples. FlexJet's direct competitor to the Citation Latitude is the Embraer Praetor 500. The acquisition cost for a 1/16 share is going to be in the exact same ballpark, maybe slightly higher, call it $1.2 million. The monthly management fee will also be a touch higher, perhaps $16,000 or $17,000, to account for the dedicated crew model and newer aircraft. The occupied hourly rate will also likely have a slight premium, maybe closer to $5,000 an hour. So, you're looking at a 5 to 10% premium across the board compared to NetJets. What you're buying from FlexJet isn't just flight hours. It's a curated experience. You're paying for the guarantee of a newer jet, a crew that knows your preferences, and an interior that feels less like a fleet aircraft and more like your own. They also offer a very popular leasing program, which is a fantastic alternative for those who don't want to tie up 7 figures in a depreciating asset. With a lease, you put down a one-time payment and then have a fixed monthly and hourly fee for the term of the contract, typically 3 years. It lowers the barrier to entry significantly, but your all-in cost per hour will be higher than it would be with full ownership. It's a strategic choice: capital preservation versus long-term cost efficiency. And that brings us to the disruptor, Wheels Up. They looked at the NetJets and FlexJet models with their massive capital requirements and long-term commitments, and they decided to flip the script. Wheels Up isn't about ownership, it's about access. If NetJets is buying a deeded timeshare, Wheels Up is like buying an all-access pass to a global portfolio of 5-star hotels. You don't own the bricks and mortar, but you can book a room anytime, anywhere. Their model is built on a tiered membership structure. At the entry level, you have the Connect membership. You pay an initiation fee of around $3,000 and that's it. It gives you access to their app and the ability to book flights from their network of over 1,200 safety-vetted aircraft. But the pricing is dynamic, meaning it's based on market demand, like booking a flight on Kayak. It's a great way to dip your toe in the water, but it lacks the cost predictability that is the hallmark of private aviation. The real game changer is their core membership. Here, the initiation fee is significantly higher, around $17,500, plus annual dues thereafter. But what this buys you is the holy grail for many flyers: a capped, all-inclusive hourly rate on a specific class of aircraft. For their flagship King Air 350i fleet, a turboprop that is perfect for shorter regional flights, that capped rate might be around $5,500 an hour. For a mid-sized jet, you might be looking at a capped rate of $8,500. This is the key differentiator. There is no million-dollar acquisition cost. You pay your membership fee, and you get a guaranteed price for your flight hours. The trade-off? The hourly rates are, on paper, significantly higher than the occupied hourly rates at NetJets or FlexJet. But you're not paying a massive monthly management fee, and you haven't tied up a fortune in the asset itself. The Wheels Up model is perfectly designed for the user who flies between 15 and 40 hours a year, who wants the convenience and predictability of private flight without the balance sheet impact of fractional ownership. It's a lower commitment, higher flexibility model that has fundamentally changed how people access private aviation. So you have 3 distinct philosophies. NetJets, the gold standard of ownership, built for high-volume flyers who demand consistency and are willing to make a major capital investment for it. FlexJet, the bespoke, premium ownership experience, for those who value personalized service and the latest aircraft, and are willing to pay a slight premium for that exclusivity. And Wheels Up, the accessible membership-based disruptor, for those who prioritize flexibility and want to avoid a massive upfront cost, even if it means a higher per-hour price tag. Each model is brilliant, but it's tailored to a very different customer with a very different set of priorities. But here's the kicker, the dirty little secret of the entire industry. The price you're quoted, whether it's an hourly rate, a monthly fee, or a membership cost, is almost never the number on your final bill. That sticker price is just the beginning of the story. The real costs are buried in the fine print. A minefield of taxes, surcharges, and fees that can inflate your final invoice by a staggering amount. We've looked at the price on the sticker, but the true cost of flying private is hidden in the details. And that is exactly what we are exposing next. Let's start with the one fee that is absolutely unavoidable, the ghost in the machine of every single private flight in the United States: the federal excise tax, or FET. This is a 7.5% tax levied by the federal government on all domestic air transportation. So that $50,000 quote you just got for a cross-country trip? It's not $50,000. It's $53,750 before anything else is added. And this isn't a fee the charter company has any control over. It's a direct pass-through to Uncle Sam. On top of that, there's a domestic segment fee, a smaller charge per passenger for each leg of your journey. It might only be a few dollars per person, but on a round trip with 4 passengers and a stop, you're suddenly looking at 16 individual segment fees. It's the death by 1,000 cuts that begins to bleed your wallet dry before the engines even start. But the government taxes are just the warm-up act. The real headliner, the one that causes the most sticker shock and the most angry phone calls, is the fuel surcharge. When you get a quote from a charter broker, that quote is almost always based on the current price of jet fuel. The problem is, you might be booking weeks or even months in advance, and the price of Jet A fuel is about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane. It's tied to global oil markets, geopolitical tensions, and refinery capacities. If the price of oil spikes just 15% between the day you book and the day you fly, which can happen overnight, that increase isn't absorbed by the operator. It's passed directly onto you in the form of a fuel surcharge that can add thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, to your final bill. It's the single biggest variable in on-demand charter, and it's the one that turns a dream price into a financial nightmare. You thought you locked in a great deal, but in reality, you just signed a blank check tied to the volatility of the global energy market. Now let's talk about where the plane actually goes, the airport. You don't just pull up to the gate like you do on a commercial flight. You operate out of what's called an FBO, or fixed-base operator. This is your private terminal, your gateway to the aircraft. And they charge for everything. First, there are landing fees, which the airport authority charges based on the maximum takeoff weight of your aircraft. A light jet might be a few $100s. A heavy jet like a Gulfstream G650 landing at a high-demand airport like Teterboro in New Jersey could face landing fees well over $1,000. Then there are ramp and parking fees. If your jet is sitting on the ground for more than a few hours, or especially overnight, you're paying rent for that patch of asphalt. These fees can escalate quickly, especially during major events like the Super Bowl or Art Basel in Miami, where parking spots are at an extreme premium. And don't forget the FBO's own handling fees for marshaling the aircraft, handling your bags, and providing their lounge services. These are all separate line items that are rarely, if ever, included in that initial hourly rate you were quoted. And if you're flying during the colder months, prepare for one of the most infamous hidden costs in all of private aviation: de-icing. You're ready to depart from Aspen after a fantastic ski trip, but it snowed overnight. Your jet is covered in a layer of ice and snow. You cannot take off until that is completely removed. A specialized truck comes out and sprays the wings and fuselage with a heated glycol fluid. This is not optional. It's a federal safety mandate. And the cost is astronomical. Depending on the size of the aircraft and the amount of fluid needed, a de-icing bill can range from $2,000 to over $20,000. It's a completely unpredictable, non-negotiable, and eye-watering expense that you are 100% responsible for. And it can materialize out of thin air just minutes before your departure. Beyond the plane itself, you're also on the hook for the people flying it. If your trip requires the pilots to stay overnight, you are paying for their entire layover. That includes their hotel rooms, their meals, known as per diem, and their transportation to and from the airport. A 2-day trip with 2 pilots can easily add another $1,000 to $1,500 to your bill, a detail often buried in the fine print of your charter agreement. And what about the luxuries inside the cabin? That beautiful spread of gourmet food and top-shelf champagne you see in all the marketing photos? Don't assume it's included. Standard catering is usually a sad little box of snacks and some bottled water. Anything beyond that is an extra charge, and it gets expensive fast. A custom order of sushi for 4 people can easily add $500. Want to stream a movie on the high-speed Wi-Fi? Many jets charge for data usage by the megabyte, and a single high-definition film can add hundreds of dollars to your invoice. So, how do our top 3 companies navigate this minefield of hidden fees? This is where their business models create a night and day difference in your experience. Let's start with NetJets and FlexJet, the fractional ownership titans. Their entire value proposition is built on predictability and the elimination of these surprise costs. When you buy a share or a lease, your contract outlines a fixed hourly rate and a monthly management fee. That hourly rate is truly all-inclusive for most standard operations. It includes the fuel, the crew costs, the standard catering, the landing fees, everything. You are not exposed to the wild swings of the fuel market. You will not get a surprise $5,000 de-icing bill in Vail. It's all baked into the financial model and covered by your management fee. This is the peace of mind you are paying a premium for. You know, with near-perfect certainty what a flight from New York to Los Angeles will cost you every single time. The sticker price is higher, but the final price is the sticker price. There are no asterisks. Wheels Up operates in a fascinating middle ground. For their members, they offer capped hourly rates on certain aircraft, which provides a crucial hedge against price gouging and fuel surcharges. It gives you a ceiling on your primary expense. However, their model is not as all-inclusive as true fractional ownership. Federal excise tax is always extra. Segment fees are extra. And depending on your membership level and the specific flight, things like premium catering and de-icing might still appear on your final bill. Their Connect membership, for example, simply gives you access to book flights, but you're still paying market rates that are subject to all these variable costs. So while Wheels Up offers a brilliant solution for many, it requires you to read your membership agreement with a fine-toothed comb to understand exactly what is and isn't included in your rate. It offers a shield, but not the ironclad fortress of a NetJets or FlexJet program. This is the fundamental trade-off in private aviation: the pay-as-you-go freedom of on-demand charter versus the predictable, all-inclusive nature of fractional ownership. With charter, you might get a lower price on paper, but you're accepting a huge amount of financial risk and uncertainty. With fractional, you have a much higher capital outlay and monthly commitment, but you've effectively outsourced all of that risk to the provider. The invoice you get at the end of the month will have no surprises. Understanding this difference, understanding that the true cost is never just the hourly rate, is the key to making an intelligent decision. We've dissected the machine, we've audited the invoice, but we haven't talked about the single most important variable in this entire equation, the one thing that can go wrong that money can't always fix. What happens when you're on the tarmac, bags loaded, ready for that critical business meeting or that dream vacation, and the pilot walks into the cabin with a grim look on his face to tell you the plane isn't going anywhere? The answer to that question reveals the true value of these companies, and it's what we're tackling next. This is the moment of truth. It's the single greatest differentiator between a good private aviation company and a truly world-class one. It's called recovery. What happens when the finely tuned multi-million-dollar machine sitting on the tarmac, ready to whisk you away, simply can't? It happens more often than you think. A sensor throws a fault code. A hydraulic line shows a minuscule leak. A crew member unexpectedly gets sick or hits their federally mandated flight time limit. In commercial aviation, this means a delay, a cancellation, and a long line at the customer service desk. In private aviation, it's a direct threat to the very reason you're paying the premium in the first place: certainty, efficiency, and control. For smaller charter operators, an AOG, an aircraft on ground, can be a catastrophic event. If they only operate a handful of planes, and yours is the one that's down, their options are severely limited. They're now scrambling, making calls to other operators, trying to find a replacement jet. Suddenly, you're at the mercy of the market. The price for that last-minute replacement could be double what you planned for, if a plane is even available. Your meticulously planned schedule is in ruins. The entire value proposition evaporates. But for the giants, for our top 3 contenders, this is where they truly earn their reputation. This is where the immense cost of their infrastructure, their scale, and their operational depth pays dividends for you, the client. Let's break down how each of them handles this exact crisis scenario. First, let's look at NetJets. Their solution is brute force in the most elegant way imaginable. With a fleet of over 750 aircraft, NetJets operates on a scale that is simply unmatched in the industry. They have more private jets than most major airlines have commercial planes. What this means is that at any given moment, they have an incredible density of aircraft spread across the country. Their operations center, which looks like something out of a NASA mission control room, isn't just tracking your flight. It's playing a continent-wide game of chess, positioning aircraft for future missions, maintenance, and most importantly, for contingencies. So when your citation latitude in Scottsdale, Arizona, has a mechanical issue, an alarm doesn't just go off for the maintenance crew. It goes off in that mission control room. Instantly, a team of logistics experts is looking at a live map. They see another latitude that just dropped off a client in Phoenix, just 20 miles away. They see a Phenom 300 that's sitting on the ground in Las Vegas, a short hop over. Within minutes, they are retasking aircraft, rerouting pilots, and coordinating ground crews. More often than not, before you've even finished your coffee in the FBO lounge, they've already dispatched a replacement jet. Your new pilots walk in, introduce themselves, and inform you that your new aircraft will be ready for boarding in 15 minutes. You might take off 45 minutes later than planned on a different tail number, but you'll make your meeting. To NetJets, an AOG isn't a crisis. It's a standard operational problem with a standard, well-rehearsed solution. Their recovery is built on the sheer, overwhelming power of scale and redundancy. It's the most robust insurance policy in the sky. Now let's turn to FlexJet. They also have a large and modern fleet, but their approach to recovery is infused with their signature focus on high-touch, personalized service. While they might not have the same aircraft density as NetJets in every single location, their recovery process feels less like a logistical maneuver and more like a white-glove intervention. When a problem arises, your dedicated owner services team is immediately looped in. You're not just a flight number in a system. You're a specific client with a specific itinerary and specific needs. Imagine you're stranded in Aspen for a few hours due to an unexpected maintenance check. The FlexJet response is multi-layered. Yes, they are working feverishly behind the scenes to dispatch a recovery aircraft from their base in Denver or Salt Lake City. But simultaneously, they're thinking about your experience on the ground. They might proactively arrange for a luxury SUV to take you and your family to a 5-star resort for lunch on them. They're in constant communication, not with automated text messages, but with personal phone calls from a representative you know by name. They understand that the in-between time, the waiting, is just as much a part of the experience as the flight itself. So while the mechanical solution might be similar to NetJets getting another plane to you, the human element is amplified. They work to insulate you from the stress of the delay. Their recovery is designed to feel seamless and managed, a testament to their belief that service shouldn't stop when the plane does. It's a bespoke solution, not just a hardware swap. Finally, we have Wheels Up. Their recovery model is unique, leveraging the hybrid nature of their business. They have their own core fleet, primarily King Air turboprops and a range of jets, but they also have a massive, digitally integrated network of over 1,200 safety-vetted partner aircraft. This gives them a different kind of flexibility. When one of their own aircraft goes down, their first option is, of course, to see if another core fleet aircraft is nearby. But if not, they can immediately tap into this vast third-party marketplace. Their system can instantly see an available, safety-audited jet from a partner operator sitting at the very same airport you're at. In theory, this can lead to incredibly fast recovery times, sometimes even faster than waiting for a fleet aircraft to be ferried in from another state. This network is their superpower. However, it also introduces variability. The recovery aircraft might not be the exact same type you booked. The interior amenities and even the crew standards, while always safe, might not be the consistent, uniform experience you'd get on a core FlexJet or NetJets plane. It's a trade-off. You get access to an immense pool of potential solutions, giving you a high probability of getting a plane, but it might not be the plane you expected. For many, this is a perfectly acceptable solution. The priority is getting from point A to point B safely and with minimal delay, and the Wheels Up network model is a powerful tool for achieving that. So you see, the true test isn't in the perfect flight. The perfect flight is easy. The true test is in the imperfect day. It's in the recovery. Do you want the sheer statistical certainty of NetJet's massive fleet? Do you prefer the personalized, high-touch crisis management of FlexJet? Or do you value the immense network flexibility offered by Wheels Up? Each approach is a valid and powerful solution to the ghost in the machine. They all aim to solve the same problem, upholding the promise of private aviation when reality intervenes. This brings us to the final, ultimate question. We've looked at the business models, the aircraft, the pricing, and the critical ability to recover from problems. Now we have to put it all together. How do you, the potential client, weigh these factors and make the single best choice for your specific needs? It starts by throwing out the idea of a single best company and instead asking a much more important question. What kind of traveler are you? Because the truth is, the perfect private aviation solution for a CEO making last-minute trips across the country is a terrible fit for a family planning their annual ski vacation. So let's break this down not by company, but by you. We'll create 3 distinct traveler profiles, and by the end you'll know exactly which category you fall into and which provider is built to serve you. First, let's meet the dealmaker on demand. This is the individual, the executive, the entrepreneur whose schedule is a chaotic symphony of opportunity. You might be in Chicago on a Tuesday morning and need to be in a boardroom in San Francisco by Tuesday afternoon. Your trips are rarely planned more than 48 hours in advance. Your primary need isn't luxury, though it's nice. It's speed, reliability, and absolute, ironclad availability. When you call, you need a plane, period. The cost of a missed meeting is infinitely higher than the cost of the flight. For this profile, the choice, overwhelmingly, is NetJets. Why? Comes down to one word: scale. With over 800 aircraft, NetJets operates a fleet that dwarfs its competitors. This isn't just a vanity metric. It's the engine of their core promise. When a mechanical issue grounds your plane in Teterboro, they don't give you an apology and a refund. They dispatch another one. Their operational depth is their superpower. The fractional ownership model, while requiring a significant capital outlay, is designed for this exact user. You are buying a guarantee. You are buying a slice of the world's largest private airline, and with it, the assurance that a plane will be ready for you, almost anywhere in the country, on a few hours' notice. The pricing is premium, yes. The commitment is substantial. But for the dealmaker on demand, NetJets isn't a luxury service. It's a critical business utility, as essential as a smartphone or an internet connection. It's the closest thing in aviation to a guarantee. Now let's shift gears to our second profile, the curator of experience. This traveler is different. Their trips are often planned weeks or even months in advance. They're flying for leisure, a family trip to Aspen, a golf weekend in Scottsdale, a summer escape to the Hamptons. For them, the journey is as important as the destination. They value consistency, a high-touch service, and a specific premium in-flight experience. They don't just want a jet, They want their jet, or at least one that feels like it. This is the home turf of FlexJet. FlexJet has deliberately positioned itself as the boutique, premium choice. Their red label program, with crews dedicated to a single aircraft, creates a level of familiarity and personalized service that is difficult to replicate at a larger scale. When you fly with FlexJet, you're more likely to see the same flight crew, who remember how you take your coffee or that your kids love a specific snack. Their fleet is younger and more curated, with stunning custom-designed interiors from their LXI cabin collection. For the curator of experience, this matters. The fractional lease or ownership model provides the consistency they crave, and because their travel is planned, they can leverage the benefits without needing the last-second, scramble-the-jets capability of a NetJets. They are paying for a superior, more predictable, and more luxurious experience from start to finish. It's less about raw logistical power and more about refined, consistent quality. Finally, we have our third profile, the pragmatic optimizer. This is the savvy business owner or high-net-worth individual who understands the value of their time, but is also deeply conscious of value for money. They fly between 25 and 100 hours a year. They want the benefits of private travel, the efficiency, the privacy, the convenience, but they're willing to be a bit more flexible to achieve a better price point. They might be able to shift their departure by a few hours, or they might not be married to a specific aircraft model. They see private aviation as a powerful tool, but one whose cost must be justified. For this profile, the answer is often Wheels Up. Wheels Up, especially after its acquisition by Delta, is designed around flexibility and access. Their tiered membership model allows a user to dip their toe in the water without the colossal capital commitment of fractional ownership. The Connect and Core memberships offer access to a fleet at capped hourly rates, which provides a degree of cost certainty that on-demand charter can't match. This is their sweet spot. For the pragmatic optimizer, the ability to book a King Air 350i for a short regional hop at a much lower cost than a light jet is a huge advantage. They can right-size the aircraft for the mission. Furthermore, the potential to snag empty leg flights through their app offers incredible value for those with flexible schedules. Now, the trade-off historically has been in consistency and recovery. With a more dynamic marketplace-style model, the service isn't always as uniform as a FlexJet. But under Delta's new leadership, the focus is squarely on improving operational reliability. For the flyer who is smart, flexible, and looking for the most efficient way to buy time, Wheels Up presents a compelling and financially more accessible proposition. So we have the deal maker, the curator, and the optimizer. But what if you don't fit neatly into one of these boxes? What if you only fly private 2 or 3 times a year? This is where we need to talk about the giant, invisible player in this market, the on-demand charter broker. For anyone flying less than 25 hours a year, a jet card or fractional program from any of these 3 companies is almost certainly financial overkill. Your best bet is to engage a reputable, high-quality charter broker. A good broker doesn't own planes. They have relationships with hundreds of certified operators across the country. They act as your agent, scouring the market to find the right aircraft, for the right price, for your specific mission. The upside is unparalleled flexibility and no long-term commitment. You pay as you go. The downside is that quality can vary dramatically. You are not buying into a single unified safety standard like you are with NetJets or FlexJet. Your due diligence is paramount. You must work with a broker who is Argus or Wyvern certified, who is transparent about the operator of the aircraft, and who has a proven track record. This is the try before you buy path. It's the perfect way to experience private aviation and understand your own travel patterns before you even think about signing a multi-year, 6- or 7-figure contract. So how do you make the final call? Let's distill it into a simple decision-making framework. Step 1. Quantify your need. Be brutally honest. How many hours will you genuinely fly in the next 12 months? If the answer is under 25, stop here. Your answer is on-demand charter through a trusted broker. Step 2. Analyze your booking habits. If you're over 25 hours, look at your calendar. Are your trips spontaneous, last-minute necessities? Or are they planned, predictable events? If you live in a world of last-minute chaos, your compass should point strongly towards NetJets. If your travel is planned, FlexJet and Wheels Up remain firmly in the running. Step 3. Define your ultimate priority. Is it the guarantee of an aircraft no matter what, no matter when? That's NetJets. Is it the pinnacle of in-flight luxury, consistency, and a curated personal experience? That's FlexJet. Or is it achieving the best possible value, with flexibility in aircraft and a lower point of entry? That's Wheels Up. There is no single champion in this race. There is only the right choice for the right mission. The world of private aviation isn't about finding the best jet company. It's about conducting a deep and honest audit of your own needs, your budget, and your priorities. It's about understanding that these companies are not just selling flights. They are selling fundamentally different solutions to the problem of travel. One sells a guarantee, another sells an experience, and the third sells access and value. Your first flight of discovery isn't at 40,000 feet. It's right now, with a clear understanding of who you are as a traveler. Once you know that, the right aircraft and the right company will be waiting for you on the tarmac.